Welcome back. And today we're going to be talking about how do you release bottled up emotions. And by so doing, you may find that you get to live life at a much higher level. So how do you release bottled up emotions? Well, first off, you have to recognize that there are bottled up emotions to begin with. So the fact that you're here with me right now shows that you understand that you have emotions that are bottled up. Good for you. Because so many people don't even understand that this is happening. And then they go through all these experiences in life and there's these blow-ups because you can't bottle emotions for very long, right? Before they explode. You've probably experienced this, which is probably why you are watching this video right now. Because you are done with the explosions. Those explosions can be scary sometimes because I'm bottling and I bottle them. I'm trying not to explode. I don't want to feel this. And then boom, it all comes out. And then you start to go, oh my goodness, I just did that. I did not mean to do that. I'm sorry, everybody. And then you feel bad about yourself. You beat up on yourself and you start bottling again. Right? You know how the cycle goes where you bottle and explode, bottle and explode, bottle and explode. Oh, thank you for being here to watch this video because I've got 6 steps for you on how to recognize and release emotions in an appropriate way so that you can stop bottling them up and so you don't have to go through this explode, bottle, explode experience again and again. Okay? So 6 steps to help you do that. First, let me paint a picture of you. All right. That is a human being. That is you and that is me. And as life happens, we have emotional experiences that we may or may not know what to do with. And if we don't know what to do with it, we avoid it. And we say, oh, I don't know what to do with this emotion right now, so I'm just going to put it right here, not deal with it, right? And we do this as kids. So growing up, we've had so many experiences in life that we haven't known what to do with them, and we just block it, avoid it, bottle it up. And before you know it, we are full of blocked and bottled up emotions. And then when the situation comes up again and invites us to look at it and release it, that's what we call triggers. So say you had an experience when you were 5 years old and there was a kid that wore a blue shirt that picked on you, and so then you chose to not like the color blue because every time you see the color blue it reminds you of getting picked on, and so you just avoid the color blue because you're like, no, I don't like that. So when life presents you with blue, you're like, you're given an opportunity there. You can learn from it, release the emotion, or you can avoid the emotion again. Here's what happens though. If you choose to avoid the emotion again as it comes up and wants to be released, this is what happens. Every time an emotional experience comes up where we get a trigger moment and it reminds us of an experience that we had and it's saying, hey, look, here's an emotion that's blocked or that's been bottled. It needs to be released. If we say, nope, not ready, we put another layer around that emotion. So now we've got 2 things we have to work through. And this happens so much with so many different things because this starts as we're kids and we really don't know what we're doing. We don't know how to deal with this. And so by the time now we're actually looking at, okay, I'm done bottling this up. I'm sick of exploding. How can I actually release these? We've got so many layers. So there's so many layers involved on each of these emotional experiences that we have. And some of them start to intertwine with other emotions. So if you've ever had an experience where you have one triggering emotion and then all of a sudden all these other emotions start coming up and you're laughing and you're crying and then you get angry and then you're just like, what is going on with me? Aha! It's because this has been going on in your life and you have all of these emotions you've been avoiding or bottling and they are becoming interconnected because they're tying in with other experiences and other emotions and things that are happening. And so, now we're full of it and we don't know what to do. Thank you for being here because here are the 6 steps on how to recognize and release these emotions appropriately. So the first step, you've already done that because you're watching this video. The first one is to recognize. Recognize that there's blocked emotion, that there's bottled up emotion. That's half the battle. As you recognize that, oh, I've been bottling emotions. It's time to get this out. So we recognize it. So the second step is to release. So you recognize that you have emotion, and now you need to release it in an appropriate way. So one way that you can actually release this is by saying what needs to be said. Because there's so much stuff here that needs to be expressed in an appropriate way. So if you have information about a person that you just have all these negative thoughts and feelings about that person, that you've got to release it, don't go and just dump it on that person, because that's not an appropriate way of releasing. But you can have a conversation with that person without them actually being there. So just inviting them to come into your space energetically and talk to them. Share what it is that you've been holding in. Share the pain, the hurt, any words and thoughts that you had. Dump it out. Let it go. That's a wonderful experience. I had a time where I did not like my grandfather. My grandfather, I really struggled with, and I felt like he was abusive to my grandma. He left the family, and I never got to really connect with him, and I had this anger towards him. And so when I was living in Germany, he died, and I wasn't able to go to the funeral. I didn't really care. I was at this place where I hadn't really seen him a whole lot, wasn't a big part of my family, and I was angry, and I didn't care. Later on, when I was working with one of my mentors, my mentor said, okay, you need to put all of your relationships in order. So make a list and go through and repair any and all of the relationships that need to be repaired. Well, my grandfather came up on the list, and I was like, oh, really? He's dead. Why do I have to repair this relationship? But I did. At the time, I was commuting to work, and I had an hour-and-a-half drive. So one night, as I was driving home from work, I energetically invited my grandfather into the front passenger seat, and then I just started expressing everything that I'd held in. My anger, my hurt, all of the thoughts and feelings I had, I just dumped out on my grandpa. And it was a nice release. The next thing that we do is forgive. And so what I had to do at that next stage with my grandpa was I forgave my grandpa. I said, Grandpa, I forgive you for anything and everything that you did. I forgive you for this. I forgive you for that. And then I asked for forgiveness. I said, Grandpa, will you forgive me for holding on to this for so long? Will you forgive me for being so angry, for judging you harshly? Will you forgive me? I asked for forgiveness. And then for my higher power, I said, higher power, God, will you forgive me? And then I went down to myself, Austin. Will you forgive me for holding on to this for so long? Yes, I forgive you. Forgiveness is a big part of the release process. It doesn't mean that what the person did was right or was healthy. What forgiveness does is it frees you from that connection that's holding you back. And it frees the other person to actually move forward in their life as well and to repair those damages. So forgiveness is huge, an important part to move yourself forward and to allow yourself to grow. The next step is gratitude. Step 4 is gratitude. Express thankfulness for the lesson. Express gratitude for the experience that happened. Thank you, Grandpa, for forgiving me. Thank you for creating this experience which has allowed me to learn and grow myself. Thank you, Austin, myself, for holding on to that emotion. Because had you not held on to that emotion, you would not be in this moment right now, which is teaching you and helping you learn a lesson that is a powerful, important lesson. So I express gratitude for the experience that I'm having. Thank myself, because I knew that in the time that I acted the way I did, I acted that way because I thought that was in my best interest. I was only doing what I thought was best in the time. So I thank myself for following through and acting upon what I thought was right. Gratitude is important. The next step is to learn the lesson. Learn the lesson that is being presented to you in this experience. What is this teaching you? What is this emotion teaching you? This emotional experience. What is important for you to learn from this? And once you learn the lesson, the final step is the next most important step. And that's to share the lesson. Learn the lesson and then share the lesson. Because if you don't share the lesson, you really don't learn the lesson. So much of learning comes when we teach others. When we stand up and we start sharing what we've learned, we start to get more ideas about, oh wow, I didn't realize that. And we start to learn even more, which is a beautiful experience, and then allows us to share. We've been given so much. We've been given these incredible experiences to learn from. Yes, they can be painful. Yes, they can be hard. But I'm so grateful for that, because that's what makes it worth it. That's what makes it valuable, is to be able to work through that and to learn from that. And now watch what happens with these. For every time we recognize an emotion that's trapped within us, and we recognize it, we release it, we forgive, we express gratitude, we learn the lesson, we share the lesson, we just erased a layer around that. And sometimes there's so many layers around these emotional experiences that we erase in a layer and erase in a layer. And we erase and we erase, and it keeps coming up and it keeps coming up. And sometimes we think, oh my goodness, I've dealt with this same thought or this same emotion time after time after time. I paid this money to mentors. I've gone to these many classes. I've read these books. I've gone to therapy. And it keeps coming up. Why? I guess this crap isn't working. And the moment we do that, we put another layer on the experience. So know this. If it feels like you've been working on this particular aspect of your life, trying to release it over and over and over again, this thought that you're not good enough, that you struggle with this idea and you just keep struggling with it, if you keep working at it, know this, you are close. You are close. You are getting there. Keep at it. Keep going. You're almost there. You will get to that core. And once you release that core, it's gone. Once you release the core, it's gone. And that is a beautiful experience. To work on something so much, so often, to eventually get to the point where, oh my goodness, it's not coming up anymore. I don't have to deal with that. I must have gotten to the core. Yes. So know that you are making it. You're almost there. You're almost there. If you had like 100 weeds in the garden and you've pulled 99 out, you're almost there. I promise you that as you keep moving forward, identifying emotions that are being blocked, recognizing it, releasing it in an appropriate way, forgiving, expressing gratitude for the lesson, learning the lesson, and then sharing it, your life will move to a new level. You will experience more joy, happiness, and you will no longer struggle with bottling these emotions, because as the emotion presents itself, you won't have to bottle it anymore. You will say, oh, thank you. I didn't realize that was there. Now I can take off another shell, another layer. So the next time that person cuts you off in traffic and you have that emotional experience come up where you're like, you can actually go, thank you for cutting me off, because I didn't realize that emotion was still there. Now I can process it. I can release it. I can learn the lesson, and I forgive you. I love you. Learn the lesson, share the lesson. Use these 6 steps to help you stop bottling your emotions, but to recognize, learn from them, release them, and move forward in your life, which will free you. Releasing your emotions, accepting them, releasing them, leads to a state of freedom. I invite you to be free by releasing your emotions appropriately, learning the lesson, and sharing it. If you found value in this video, go ahead and like it, subscribe to our channel, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.